And welcome everybody to Flicker Effect. This is episode 263, and it's being recorded on Sunday, August 5th, 2018. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this episode is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everyone.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
On.
Good.
263. Wow.
263.
I feel like we're closing in on that 300 mark pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about, like, let's say we record one episode a week. Where would 300 put us? I'll have to do that math at some point, just out of curiosity. And then we do 2 episodes a week sometimes, so that just kills any calculations I will attempt. Yeah, we're getting there.
Closing in there.
We are. By the way, everybody listening, this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, the iHeartRadio app, and you can find the audio versions of this as well on YouTube. You can also just basically find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search for Flicker Effect. You should be able to find us. So thanks for listening. And by the way, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, it helps us find more listeners. If you leave us a review and any comments on there, that would be very helpful. We would appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Thank you in advance.
And like Bobby said last time, just don't be lazy.
I did say that last time.
That should be I'm going to put that on our Instagram or something, just to make a meme.
So, guys, I have something I'd like to say briefly, real quickly. Since Infinity War has been available for digital download, I've watched it again, and it just seemed to be at the ready repeatedly to like kind of watch for background noise. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. Like it seems like the more I watch it, the more I really enjoy it for what it is and what it's done for the films. Yeah,
I've been dying to watch it again. I mean, I know it's available on digital right now, but I'm of course waiting for the Blu-ray, which I've pre-ordered, which is 2 weeks away now. But I'm like, man, I can't wait to watch it again.
That's kind of where I was at. I was like, I just couldn't wait to like watch it again, and it's just so. I really enjoy it. The more it seems like the more I watch it, it's just like, and I think maybe even the more because more that I've read when it comes to stuff online about, the Red Skull, and then.
What was that, Yasha?
Yasha, you there?
I think Thanos must have snapped his fingers and got him.
Yeah, he's done.
He's watched it so many times that it caught up. Yasha's gone.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yasha left us. Officially on Skype. I see he's gone.
Well, wait, I think he's back.
Oh, Yasha, you back? Yasha's technically. Oh, hey, you there?
Hello.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah, hey. Oh, okay. I don't know what happened.
I think Thanos got you, and you were in the Soul Stone for a minute.
I was just disappeared right there.
I was gone.
Just gone. I was just like, hello?
You're taking Thanos' name in vain, and he had to snap you up.
Did I tell
what were you saying?
Yeah, what were you saying, Yasha?
No, I wasn't saying anything that I think.
Said something about Red Skull, and that was kind of like.
Oh, just the more that because now that the movie's out, at least I am a little bit more apt to just kind of being open to fan theories or thoughts or stuff from the directors. Like I kind of like to go in with movies like these a little bit more green-eyed and just kind of like curious as to like how it's going to happen or how it's going to play out, and kind of just watch the movie, opposed to just going in knowing everything that's going to happen. And now that I've watched it, it's like I'm reading things. It's like about Red Skull's out now, and I'm just speculating and hoping that we get a Red Skull and Captain America scene in the next movie. And it's just like, I mean, I know that it may not happen and it probably won't happen, but just the idea that it'll be there, that things like that, or some other things that we're bound to get like Captain Marvel. I'm just excited for the next movie. I know it's, we're within a year of it coming out, so it's exciting that it's going to be here, but it's still just a little far out.
That's probably why I haven't really focused too much of time to watch it yet. I will, and like David, I'm waiting for the 4K version, so that's another thing. But even once I get it, I don't know if I'll rush and watch it, just because I know we still have that long gap before we get some resolution there. So even still, I may hold off on watching it again before I'm ready to jump back into that and get sort of that hype built up again for the next movie.
But Bobby, you're weird. You don't rewatch things.
I don't typically, but I mean, I guess it's weird, and it's, I wish I could rewatch stuff, and I do have that a little bit of a sadness in the sense that I watched this thing on Collider called the Movie Trivia Schmodown, and it's these guys and women who compete against each other about movie trivia, and it takes a lot of rewatching things or brushing up on things in order to know the answer to some of these questions. And I just remember being a kid, and there wasn't as many options for things to watch, and so it was real easy to rewatch the same movie multiple times. And then as I got older, and obviously life gets in the way, but as well as life getting in the way, there's just so much TV and movies and things to watch that I feel like if I were to go back and rewatch something, then that's something else I'm missing out on that someone has suggested which is really good. So, I mean, I don't fault anyone for choosing to rewatch things that they've watched because they love it or have it on in the background. But I think I'm just in that mode where I feel like I have to watch as much as I can when I can, just to be able to be in on the discussion of things when someone's talking about a show and be able to be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what they're talking about.
Weirdo. No, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I just love rewatching things. I still take that point of view. Like there's plenty of movies I can point to that I don't think I fully appreciated until, like, I don't know, a handful of viewings in. And I have a feeling I'll pick up my copy of Infinity War on Blu-ray once it's released, and I'll probably watch it like that night or the next day. I'm going to watch it pretty quickly because I've been dying to watch it again.
The Dark Knight right now with Shannon. Like I'm legitimately rewatching it right now, and I'll probably watch, since Batman Begins is on Netflix now, I will probably rewatch that one eventually too.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I watched a few movies this weekend instead of rewatching something. So
new stuff. Fine.
Yeah, new stuff.
What new things did you see?
Oh, a little movie by the name of Christopher Robin. I had a chance to check that out, which
I will say I have not heard an opinion on this movie yet. So I don't know. I guess I've just kind of I've had lots of other things I've been doing this weekend, and I tend to keep up on plenty of movie news, obviously, and even just YouTube reviews and stuff. And I just haven't seen anything yet. I haven't even seen like a Rotten Tomato score. Nothing. You will be the first opinion I hear as of right now when you tell us what you thought of this.
Well, I really loved it. I felt like a lot of the time throughout the movie, man, I felt like I was on the verge of crying because it's just so emotionally sweet in that way that it kind of hits you in the right spot of the heart, because it feels really it's bittersweet, because the themes that are at play are kind of like Hook in a way, where you have this character who is remembered fondly when he was a young kid, but then he grows up and he becomes adult, and all the things that take place as when you're an adult happen. So there's a lot of repeated themes from the two movies, but adding into the mix these animals, these creations, where you have Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore and Piglet, and it's excuse me, and the way that they create them, they look like they're stuffed animals, but literally alive stuffed animals in a way that is so cool looking in the interactions that they have with the real world. And the voices being the original voice of doing those, all the different animals. I keep calling them animals, but is there another word that they would call them as
stuffed animals?
I guess, but it doesn't feel like it's right to call them animals. But all the different creations, is seeing them voiced by the original voice. It does something to you when you see it, and it just was like really powerful to me, and just those themes that were at play. So I really, really liked it a lot.
That's awesome. Did you see it?
Yeah,
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've heard that it's, I mean, not too much. You're pretty much the first to really, for me to really respond or receive, I guess I should say, the review for it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for the most part, it's like I've heard, so it's a really sweet movie, that sort of thing. So
it really is, yeah. And then what else did I see? I saw this movie that I'd heard people talking about, mostly online, obviously. I don't know anyone that saw it in reality. But it's a movie called Leave No Trace. Have either of you heard of it?
Nope.
I have not.
It stars Ben Foster and a young actress that I don't quite remember her name off the top of my head. And they're father and daughter. And Ben's character is obviously from the well, you see anyway that he was in the military at some point and is out of the military, and he decided at some point in time to live off the grid with his daughter. So they live in like this park in Portland, in Oregon, and he is trying to raise her in the way that he feels that he doesn't want to be around people and disconnected. And it's this struggle of him trying to have this young daughter who's probably, they don't really say her age, but you get the sense that she's probably around 12, 13 years old, and trying to live that life, but still trying to effectively keep the relationship that they have while outside forces are trying to kind of close in on them. And it was really well done. And it was just interesting because I'm sitting there watching the movie, and it's just something that I felt like you don't really see in the theaters. It's not this big budget production. It's very much a low budget affair. And I was like, man, this is what I think the opposite of what a lot of people think about when they say, oh, I want more original stuff. I mean, this is exactly what it is. It's like, I think it's based off of a book, but as far as being a movie, it feels like what the things that people are saying, oh, there's too many superhero movies or there's too many blockbusters. Well, there's this movie like this that is dealing with a subject matter I haven't personally seen displayed on film before, and done in a thoughtful and really genuine way that I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I think this is what going to the theater is about sometimes, is that getting these stories that you can't really see anywhere else. Because it's not like when I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, there's no way that some executive greenlit this film thinking they're going to make huge amounts of money in the box office. So to me, it felt like, yeah, this is being made strictly for the art of it. I mean, obviously they hope they make money in some way, some form or fashion, or else you don't spend that money to make it. But it's not going to do big numbers in the theater. So it's really made out of this sort of labor of love, in a sense, where it's really this story that's being told and is different than everything else that's out there, and trying to find its voice amongst all the other stuff that's going on in the box office. So I really think that every time I see Ben Foster in something, it's so different, and his characters, he sinks himself into those roles in a way that I feel like if I were to ever meet him in person, I'd be a little hesitant because he seems like he could be kind of off or crazy in real life just because he plays those roles really well. And he's kind of like in a way that I feel like Giovanni Ribisi is in a way where I'd be weirded out to meet him in real life too, because he plays such quirky, weird guys in the movies that he plays. And so it feels like he is that in real life, even though he may not be. But they just do such a good job with the roles that they have that you can't help but to just be taken into by their spell when you're watching them on screen.
So that was Leave No Trace.
Yeah, that's Leave No Trace.
All right.
And the other movie I got a chance to see was one that, David, you said you wish you could see, which is Blind Spotting.
Yeah, which actually turns out I can. It is playing locally. I was kind of I don't know, kind of surprised when I saw that. But anyway, yeah, I plan to go see it. I was hoping to go see it this weekend, and I wasn't able to make it happen. But I definitely plan to see it. So should I, Bobby? Should I bother?
Well, no, that's an interesting thing because, okay, so the short story of it is Daveed Diggs is this character who's on his last few days of probation. He is trying to stay out of trouble, and he runs across an incident where a cop shoots an unarmed black man, and he's trying to deal with this trauma of seeing that and still kind of live his life and still try and be on the straight and narrow. But he has this best friend that kind of seems to be a magnet for trouble. So that it's him trying to maneuver this very tight web of all these different things going on in his life. And I think for me, it felt like the first half, maybe 2/3 of the movie, it was kind of just like whatever. It didn't feel like there was any specific thing going on. It was just a series of different scenes. And then it gets to an incident that happens towards the second act or towards the end of the second act, going towards the third, that really put everything, put everything into perspective and really made me kind of gravitate and grab hold of what the movie was going for. And it really ramps up the intensity of what's going on. So overall, I think I did enjoy it, but it took me a while to really get into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know this movie. I guess I had this one. I missed me on the radar. I looked it up today when I was looking for something to maybe try and get into the theater and see it. I was like, what the hell is Blind Spotting? Saw the trailer, so I'm definitely interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I'm still interested in seeing it.
I think it's worth seeing for sure because it's a different type of movie, just the same way Sorry to Bother You is, and it's a different voice out there. And I think it's if you have any kind of interest in seeing it, you should go see it and form your own opinion. Because I don't always believe in just blindly supporting things just because it's made by a woman or made by an African American or made by an Asian. If you have an interest in it, then yeah, you should go support it. But if not, I wouldn't say, oh, just go spend your money. And if it's not something you're necessarily wanting to see, which is why I do want to check out Crazy Rich Asians when it comes out, because it looks interesting and I'd want to help support that type of film to be in theaters. So I think this is along the same lines where it's something that is a different and unique movie and a different voice that's out there. And the subject matter is always, unfortunately, timely, but it seems like it's something that I think benefits from being out there in the ether and being something that people can check out rather than not have this story out there.
Cool. So that was Blind Spotting. Anything else that you have seen that's new because you like new things?
Well, I've seen the first 4 episodes so far of Castle Rock, which is on Hulu.
Something else I'm dying to watch. Damn it. I need to watch
I'm about
things.
2.5 episodes in so far.
Yeah, you have to, Yasha?
Yeah, I'm about 2.5 episodes in so far.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It absolutely feels something out of the world of Stephen King, and there's this central sort of mystery that's going on, and it centers around Shawshank prison, and there's this prisoner there that gets found that no one seems to know why he was there and what he's there for. And then a lawyer who's from the town comes back to town to essentially try and find out what's this guy's deal and get him released from prison. And there's obviously a whole bunch of other stuff surrounding it, but to go into any more would start to reveal too much. But I am definitely into it, and I'm looking forward to how this series goes. I've heard it's an anthology series, but I don't know that I've been able to find that it says that definitively. But either way, it's pretty compelling story.
Cool. So that's Castle Rock on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think,
Bobby? It's addicting. Like it's a puzzle. Like, I mean, I don't want to say it's slow because it definitely has its moments where it's like, wow, this is, really interesting. And you're like, just when it starts to maybe feel like it might be dragging a little bit, something really interesting happens. And that's kind of how I've viewed it. I'm having a good time watching it, and I'm definitely going to try and keep up with it. It's definitely interesting. I dig it. I dig it a lot. I'm in to try and see how it goes. But it does, like Bobby says, it does feel like something out of the world of Stephen King, big time. And the little tidbits and hints that they throw, or Easter eggs, if you will, to some of the movies. It's so far, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else?
I finished the first season of Cloak and Dagger that just ended this week. And it comes on Freeform, and it honestly feels like it could have a place on Netflix in a certain sort of way, because the themes that they deal with the characters of Cloak and Dagger isn't necessarily like how I would say is light and fluffy. It gets into some heavy stuff, and I think the portrayals of those two characters by the actors are done really well. And this first season is absolutely a slow build towards them getting to a point where the next season looks like it's going to kind of hit the ground running. But I didn't mind a lot of the world building and developing these two as individuals, because you don't get to see them interact a ton together at first, but that's in service of them kind of building their own arcs within their own lives, because there's so much going on. But I thought it was really well done, and I really enjoyed that first season.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Bobby. I finished it this weekend too. I'm actually just kind of surfing on IMDb also when we're talking, and today happens to be Olivia Holt's birthday, the woman that plays Dagger, if you will, on the show. She turns 21 today, and it's that's surprising that you were mentioning that, and I just noticed it. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the show. It does feel like something that could have been done on Netflix, and I'm surprised that Netflix passed on it. The only reason I can think that they probably passed on it is because these are a couple of little lesser known characters. But Freeform is doing a spectacular job in building these characters up, dealing with some very social, conscious themes that we deal with in today's society now, but at the same time making sure that we revisit some of the parts that we're really wanting to see when it comes to comic book or powers, and the development of a mystery and story, and the connection between these two characters, which was very, very strong in the comic book. So I dig it, and the way that it ended, so looking forward to next season. Just, it can't get here soon enough. Very, very, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone out there who didn't get to catch Runaways like myself on Hulu, Freeform is showing that first season now as well. It just started. The first episode premiered right after the season finale of Cloak and Dagger this past week. So if you want to jump on that train, absolutely go ahead and do it, because I heard good things about that as well, even though I hadn't seen the first season. So I'm jumping right into that now.
Nice.
Another birthday is James Gunn's birthday is today, and so is Mark Strong.
James Gunn.
Just bringing it up because we talked about it the last time we were there. So, anyways,
wouldn't that be a nice birthday present if Disney was to say, "Hey, James, you want your job back?"
Yes, it would be.
It's funny you mentioned James Gunn because I just happened to notice. Did you see Dave Bautista's recent tweet as of about an hour ago? I guess it was.
I did, and you know what? I don't know. I really feel like even when he first started, I was like, man, he's being extra vocal. And I sort of had this feeling like, Dave, you might want to be a little careful because I feel like you could be replaceable. And, Jason Momoa was supposed to have that part, but he turned it down. So I feel like of all the characters, he could be very easily replaced. And so I would think, absolutely stand up for what you believe and say what you think is true. But at the same time, I feel like we get your position and you don't have to keep going until it's like he's trying to get fired at this point, it seems like. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think of all of the cast, he probably, he with the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, basically just starting his acting career.
Yeah.
And he owes a lot, I feel like. He's a much probably stronger connection to James Gunn in the sense that James Gunn basically has given him a new career that he didn't have, And
Sure.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, the tweet I'm referring to, if anybody's curious, he it looks like it was about an hour ago. He says, "I will do what I'm legally obligated to do. But Guardians without James Gunn is not what I signed up for. Guardians of the Galaxy without James Gunn just isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. It's also pretty nauseating to work for someone who'd empower a smear campaign by fascist cyber Nazis. That's just how I feel."
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's like he should be very careful because it's like saying that you're legally obligated, they can very well come in and be like, okay, well, you are no longer legally obligated. Congratulations, you're fired too. Like, it's just... Mm-hmm. It's the support is cool, but at the same time, that much vocal activity against like your employer does get noticed.
Yeah, but it's also we already, as we talked about in the last episode, it's such a messed up, terrible situation for everybody at this point. That would just, and I agree with you guys. It's like, even though I do agree with what he's saying, it's like as an actor, you feel like you've got to, maybe watch it. But then, Disney fires him and it's just going to be something else that's going to keep people out of the theater. People are just going to be like, you know what? I'm not even seeing it. Like, there'll be a huge boycott campaign on it. And there's a good possibility I would be one of them that would have no interest in seeing that movie the more it gets altered and changed, if it happens.
Worst case scenario out of that, though, David, then what if Disney, they then fire Dave Bautista, and then they're like, you know what? Instead of having to risk people like yourself saying, I'm not just going to bother seeing it, we're not going to do a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then it'd be like, well, Dave, you just caused everyone to lose their jobs. I mean, maybe the cast wouldn't care because they're in solidarity with James Gunn. But at the same time...
Yeah, I think in this case, most of the cast would just be like, it's cool. We didn't really want to do it anyway. That's kind of what I think. And I know from my perspective, if we don't get a third film, kind of like what we talked about last episode, I think I'd be fine with that, like given the circumstances. Sure, I'd like to see these characters pop up in other stuff if that were to happen. Yeah. If we don't get a volume 3, but maybe they pop up in future Captain Marvel films and whatever else we see out in the bigger Marvel cinematic cosmos, if you will, I'd be all for that. But at this point, given the circumstances, I think I'd be fine without having another movie. But I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah. I'd be fine. Well, and like you said, as long as they used him elsewhere, I don't necessarily.
Yes, like definitely.
Same with Ant-Man. Like, I would love to see an Ant-Man 3, but if they didn't, I still want to see the character pop up somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. But I do want to see an Ant-Man 3.
Yeah,
that I want.
For sure.
You watch anything recent, Yasha? Any new releases that we haven't talked about?
Well, I just finished season 2. I mean, I kind of taglined on a little bit of what Bobby was talking about, but I just finished season 2 of Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore and the other guy's escaping me.
Timothy Olyphant?
That's it. Timothy Olyphant. And I gotta say, I mean, the first season I kind of enjoyed. Like, I was a little shocked because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, obviously, this is just an easy watch, but the banter and the quips between Timothy Olyphant, Drew Barrymore, and their daughter and their daughter's friend, Liv Hewson and Skylar Gisondo, are just absolutely hilarious. Like, their interaction to me is just really some of the funniest parts of the show. Like, I found myself really laughing out loud. I definitely would recommend this show to anybody who just wants an easy watch with some really fun comedy and possibly a little graphic here and there. But for the most part, it's really funny how they interact with each other, and they basically justify killing people to make sure that Drew Barrymore is fed. For those that don't know, the story of the show, the basis of the show is she turns into the Walking Dead and has to start eating people, and they end up going around starting to kill people, and they're just trying to justify how they're going to do that and make sure everything's okay and nobody catches them. And it's just, I found it wildly entertaining and just very silly, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed it much more than the first season. So I watched that one, and that was pretty cool.
Cool.
But I think Timothy, what's that?
No, what did you say about Timothy?
No, I just think Timothy Olyphant is just fantastic, and he plays such a nervous wreck in this show. He's genuinely like almost like high strung every single episode. Like it's almost like, how did you manage to maintain that level of energy? Because it has to be exhausting. But he plays this very high strung person, and rightfully so. His wife is running around killing people, and they don't know how to either stop it, slow it down, or fix it, or if they can. And there's other aspects of the show that kind of get thrown in there. If you haven't watched it, I mean, I definitely think that you should watch it. It's a very silly, kind of easy watch, and it's only 30 minutes an episode. So you can find yourself flying through like 3 or 4 of them without even thinking about it. So it was fun.
Anything else?
No, I touched on getting a chance to watch Cloak and Dagger, and then the Stephen King television show, which is what I wanted to talk about as well. Nice. And I unfortunately didn't get a chance to get to the movie theater this weekend. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I wanted to go and watch Skyscraper, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was just
wow. Really? That hasn't been out long. I mean, relatively speaking.
I mean, it's. I'm sure if I searched maybe a little bit harder, but the 2 places that I look, one of them is a 12 theater or 15 theater screen. The other one is 20. And if it's not playing there, then I'm just like, okay, like, I guess I'm just waiting for it on video.
Wow.
And that kind of bummed me out. Like, I mean, it might've been playing at a place down the street, but that was like a 15 to 20 minute drive. And the parking at that place is just terrible. Bobby, I'm talking about the Spectrum. So
yeah,
you can feel me on that when it's just like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that headache right now. So I honestly was just like, well, okay, couldn't find it. Decided not to go with it. I'll just have to wait.
Well, for those who are interested in box office numbers, while we're talking about that, Mission Impossible actually ended up again at number 1 this week. In its second week of release, it beat out Disney's Christopher Robin. So, yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout pulled in, looks like 35 million. Christopher Robin at number 2 with a hair over 25. And then The Spy Who Dumped Me was another new release at a little over 12 million at 3rd place.
Oh, I forgot to not go see that.
You did mention that, I think, right? As possibly a decent movie. Seems like a good date movie. I didn't.
Like just an easy watch. Like,
yeah.
You really don't. I mean, very, very basic. Like almost know the premise of the whole first, second, and third act without even going to see the movie. So
it does seem pretty easy to just kind of go and watch that. But I mean, to be fair, I would say that that's sort of the same scenario when you go watch something like Skyscraper. You could probably predict, the first, second, and third act of that one as well. But it's all in the execution, I guess.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if I go see it, I'll tell you it's not going to be for Mila Kunis. It's going to be for Kate McKinnon. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be for a lead actress. I'm definitely going to go see it for Kate McKinnon because she's hilarious.
Yeah, she's funny. Now, many people may not know that apparently Black Panther is still in theaters. It looks like 25 theaters according to Box Office Mojo. And according to Box Office Mojo, it has now become the third film ever to top 700 million at the domestic box office.
Wow.
That is behind Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is at number 1 in that group, and Avatar. So yeah, Black Panther is still out there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know they kind of said, well, I don't know if they officially said it, but there was the idea that Disney was keeping it out there so it could hit that $700 million mark. They wanted
really?
that. Yeah, they wanted that record. So I think they had been keeping it out there so it could hit the mark.
Nice.
And Avengers Infinity War right behind it. And Titanic there too. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Bobby, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna ask you, have you watched anything?
Oh, to me watch things? Bobby, do we know each other?
Well, you did have an assignment to watch.
Everyone listens to this podcast to hear what you guys watched. I just ask the questions. That's what we do here, buddy.
No, we had an assignment.
No, we did have an assignment. I will come back to that assignment. Is all I've got for you right now. Unfortunately, the assignment that he is referring to, everyone, is that the I challenge you that I and Michelle, right? We both have to watch Creed.
Yeah.
And I'm don't get me wrong. I've been dying to watch this movie. I say dying. I mean, I guess that's probably strong since I haven't done it yet. But I've been really wanting to watch this film, especially now that the trailer for the second film is out, and I'm like, damn, this looks good, man. I really need to watch the first movie. But I have not done that yet, so I suck. I'm sorry. I will watch.
What's coming out next week?
What's coming out next week?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I can tell you really quickly. Or I'll try.
Because I was just thinking, will that give you enough time to have seen it by then?
I will watch it this week. I think I can make that happen. But before our next episode, or well, maybe I should say our next Sunday episode.
Yeah.
Watch it again. New releases next weekend from a list I'm looking at. Looks like Dog Days, The Meg, and Slender Man.
Oh, they're finally coming out with the Slender Man movie.
Yeah.
Seems like it's been pushed back or on hold or something for the longest time.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't really have too much desire to see that, but I do want to see the Meg. I mean, I don't feel like I need to rush out and see it, but I probably will watch it.
Yeah. I mean, if I make it to the theaters this week or next weekend, it definitely won't be to see anything new. It'll be to go see either Blind Spotting or I'm really curious to see Eighth Grade. Mm-hmm. Eighth Grade, and I'm hearing tons of good things about it, so I do want to go see that as well. But and then the week after though, I definitely want to see Crazy Rich Asians. It looks like a lot of fun. And
you know, there is one thing, David, that I am a little bit curious about, because there was a little bit of news that we got this week that you were pretty excited about.
We got news,
and I'm curious. Will you commit to this thing that comes out when it comes out, or will you find yourself sort of catching the first episode and then, as you say, you don't really watch stuff? So
let's stop speaking cryptically and just say what it is. Just stop speaking cryptically and say what it is.
Go ahead, David.
I mean, you might be able to say better than me, but yeah. So this weekend, Star Trek's official convention has been happening in Vegas. And this is something we've been hearing kind of about for a little bit, like as a possibility, but there really hasn't been any hard news that it was definitely going to happen. And that is that Patrick Stewart is going to return to the role of Picard for a new Star Trek show that will air on CBS All Access, just like the current show, Star Trek Discovery, that's also on CBS All Access. So he's coming back. He made an appearance there. It was unexpected, I guess. And yeah, he announced he's coming back. It sounds like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, from what I understand, he's announced he's coming back. It's official. but it could be some time. I don't even think scripts for anything has been written yet. It sounds like we're a little ways off from even production at this point.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. But, I mean, who, as a Star Trek fan, can you not be excited about that? Come on. So, yes, I am pumped about a new show with Picard in it. Will I watch it? Absolutely, unless it's terrible. And I hope that's not the case. I'd like to think that he will not involve himself in something that is terrible. But at the same time, he's been hired to do it, and he's officially doing it, and there's not even scripts yet. So maybe scripts will get written, and he'll go, "Oh God, what have I done? This is terrible." But I hope that's not the case.
I imagine they at least came to. Well, obviously they came to him with an idea and sort of a overview of what this new series would be that got him excited enough to be able to say, "Yeah, sign me up. Let's do it."
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they must have at least come to some decision on how it's going to be handled and convinced him that it was a good idea. But no, this is
I mean, they had to. That's the thing, is like they had to sell him on something.
Right.
Like there's no way in the world they would have gone there and just like, "So, hey, you want to do this?" And he's like, "No, God, that sounds like it's fucking terrible. Absolutely not."
Right.
You know, so I'm for sure that he was just like, "Yeah, that sounds like a very solid idea. I think I'm go ahead and say that I'm in for that."
Right.
I think we sort of hinted at it last time, but the idea of having Carrie Fisher back for the new Star Wars, since we're talking Star Trek, shift over to Star Wars a little bit. Well, now, from what I understand, because there was an article that came out a little bit last week where it said that not only will they be using footage from the Force Awakens, but there'll also be some footage from The Last Jedi that they'll be using. So, are you okay in the idea of using Carrie Fisher in Episode 9, David, or in Yasha, or did you kind of think like we were going to get a time jump and it was just going to say she maybe passed away off screen and would have been more okay with that?
I mean, I think pretty much everybody was expecting that. Yeah, they're gonna basically kill her off between films, and maybe we'll see like a funeral or something. Maybe, but at the same time, I think most people were kind of expecting a time jump, so we wouldn't even probably get a funeral. I don't know, but I'm fine with it. I would imagine whatever they do will be handled well. I definitely am happier with this idea of using footage that's been unused as opposed to doing something where we're kind of recreating her in the same way that they recreated Tarkin for Rogue One. And I'm saying that as I actually liked how they did that, but I feel like in this case with her passing being much more recent, it seems like it wouldn't be in the best taste to do that kind of thing right now, with her. I would have been very shocked if they had gone down that road, and it sounds like that's not what they're doing. So they're in some way going to reuse footage they've already shot that never got used, and I would imagine the only thing they might have to do is kind of recreate her voice in a creative way, which I don't know. I guess I'm okay with that as long as it sounds like her daughter basically gave the okay and the blessing to do this. So I'm fine with it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yasha, what do you think?
Yasha?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't necessarily need to have her show up again. She, in my opinion, didn't add too much aside from the nostalgia image when she was there to begin with. And, she's there. It's fine. She holds a very significant role. But again, we don't necessarily need to have her there. I would be totally fine if we had that conversation of, when Leia died, and even have like images from the funeral or anything like that, or the loss of her brother was just too much or anything like that. Just something that one or two sentences might be just fine to move forward with the character. But, I mean, if they're going to have it, they're going to have it. There's not much that I can do about it. It's like, it's fine. So it should be interesting, I guess, to say the least.
I mean, I would imagine whatever they're going to do, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more just like she makes appearances in like holograms communicating to other people kind of thing, or like I wouldn't be surprised if that's like the extent of her appearance in this movie. But Bobby, what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
I do feel like there'll be some of that, but then I also think that there will be legit actual scenes of her in the flesh doing something, that was maybe can be written around and put into this movie as a way of adding more scenes with her, as opposed to just kind of leaving them on the cutting room floor for where they apparently are now. I don't know how they'll work it, but I don't feel as though they would. I don't feel like they'll just do the whole hologram things and with her giving slight directions here and there. I do feel it'll be a little bit more significant than that. Otherwise, I don't know what the purpose would be in trying to pull her back into this movie for that, for just something that minor. I think it to me, it seems like there was a reason, obviously, that JJ decided to make it to where the passage of time between the last one and this one isn't so significant that they could have just went in that route and just had her die off screen and it be like 10 years later or 5. Because like you said, David, everybody had assumed that there was going to be this time jump. So the fact that there isn't, to me, says that there's things at play there and a reason to have Leia's character still stick around to have some sort of scenes that I think will be meaningful rather than just sort of, if you took them out, it wouldn't really do much to alter the story of the next movie. I think her role will have something of significance in it.
Yeah, I mean, considering, I get what you're saying. So I would imagine you're probably right. It's going to be more than just random, like, hologram appearances, since I don't have the quote right in front of me, but I know JJ has said, like, basically they couldn't quite write the script they wanted without her being in it. So it was something along those lines. And that's why they found a way to make this work that kind of makes sense and should make everybody happy. And yeah, so with that in mind, yeah, if it were just a matter of hologram appearances and stuff like that, then you could have found another way, I think, to do something like that. If you had to have her in this, there's a good reason you're going out of your way to make this work.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, then I guess you could say sounds fine. Like, it sounds interesting.
Yasha, now that go ahead.
No, go ahead, Bobby.
Well, I was going to take us into a different tangent. I didn't know if you wanted to continue.
I was just going to say I wouldn't say surprised, but I thought it was interesting that indeed JJ and Disney straight up said that Mark Hamill will be playing Luke Skywalker in this movie. It seems like the kind of role that maybe they could have toyed with us by not officially announcing that, but then he appears as a Force ghost, but I'm glad they didn't really kind of go down that road. They just straight up like, nope, he's in this. No reason to sit around for a year and a half and debate whether or not he's going to appear or not. Like, yeah, he's in the movie. So.
Yeah, I think to a certain level, they're kind of over the hiding and everything and the secrecy. It's like, look, they've done that before with some of the movies. They do it now with Marvel and the Avengers and Infinity War and stuff like that. So I think that just like announcing is like, yeah, fuck it. Everybody, he's here. No surprise. No tricks.
Right.
Well, see, now that's the thing. So you say that, but there still seems to be a level of debate online as to whether or not he'll be a Force ghost or if he will appear and that he never died at the end of 8. So it's like, yeah, you went ahead and told us that Mark Hamill will be back, but you didn't say, and nor would they say, oh, Force Ghost Luke will be back in the next one. They wouldn't explicitly say that, but because they don't, it leaves obviously everyone who wants to theorize with the idea that maybe he didn't die in the last one. So where do you guys stand on that?
That's insane. I mean, no, I would say the only thing to debate is whether or not he's only going to appear as a Force ghost, or is he only going to appear in like flashbacks, or both. I could see both of those scenarios, but he's gone. Like, that's no.
Would you be pissed if he came back and he was alive?
I mean, that all depends on the reasoning they would give. Like, it would have to be a reasoning that really worked for me, and I don't know what that would be, considering we saw him pass. Like, I guess I hadn't really thought about that scenario because it just seems ludicrous to me. So it really...
What if he passed? What if this is totally dumb, and I just literally
go ahead.
Literally thought about it in this moment. But what if you see him, and you know how he disappeared and whatnot, and you see the robe hit the ground or the rocks or whatever.
Where are you going with this?
Yeah, so they open up on the next movie, and when they get to, whatever they do ahead of time, and then they get to Luke's scene, you still see him on I forget the name of the place, but where he was located at.
Octu.
Yes, there you go. Thank you. And then you see him like instead of on the bluff above, he's like down at the rocks below, because he sort of transported himself there, but now he's naked. And so then it's like, oh, he didn't die. He just somehow used the Force powers to transport himself a short distance after that.
Bobby. Thank you, Josh. Bobby.
Just stop it.
You're just being crazy.
That's enough. That is enough, kind sir. That is enough.
I'm trying to go down these roads that some of the other people put their mindset in, because I am like you guys. I really don't think that there's a possibility for him to be alive, but it feels like if there's some sort of weird sort of way to cheat it, that there could be the possibility. I don't think JJ would do that. I don't feel like he would want to try and figure out something that made sense that everybody could get on board with and not sort of poke holes at or get upset by. I think he'll just go along with what Ryan did from the previous movie and write Luke as a Force ghost. But it's fascinating to me that there is a decent amount of talk of people who believe that he may not be dead.
I mean, the only reason I can see why there probably is some of that talk is because people are probably imagining that, in a perfect world, JJ probably wishes he had him as a character to have in this movie. But since he didn't have that choice and he was killed off, like, could he find a way to make it work? But no, like, because anything he would do to make that work would just end up being sometimes just retconning, and I don't know. Yeah, no, it'd be stupid. And it would be it would be the kind of thing that would it would be purposely making The Last Jedi a worse movie, by kind of in the same way that I feel like Last Jedi makes Force Awakens a worse movie. It would be doing that to Last Jedi, because it would completely ruin that moment of the film if you go back and watch Last Jedi, and they're not going to do that.
I don't think they will either, but I think that's the best and the worst part about the separation between these movies, is that it allows for us to kind of speculate, but because there's so much time, the speculation and fan theories become so rampant, and that it becomes this. I think that's where the toxicity starts to form, is because of the time we have on our hands to kind of sit here and think about all these different things. I would love to see the day that would come when Disney / Lucasfilm said, okay, auteur, director, here's your series mandate to do 3 movies, and here's the budget, and go film all 3 at the same time, like they did with the Lord of the Rings movies, and then be able to have those movies come out consecutively year after year and tell that story. I wonder if we ever get to that kind of point, because the time that we have in between these movies gives such feeds into the frenzy, I think, because there's too much time on our hands.
Yeah, where you would get a movie every year then, like every December, 3 years in a row. And I mean, you say that, and I don't see this happening, but then, you know, that's always a possibility with the still possible Rian Johnson trilogy.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, and that's still apparently official at this point. There's a lot of speculation that it won't happen, but they haven't said it's not happening, and I don't know. It could happen.
Speaking of which, when do you think we'll get some news about Disney's streaming service?
After the Fox deal is official, I would imagine.
That's interesting. Huh.
What do you think?
I really hadn't what made me think of it in the first place is that I'd been thinking about the fact that DC has essentially put their plans out there for their DC All Access channel.
Right.
And so we know about that. And then now we got the latest news of this week with the whole Star Trek thing, and that adding more content to the CBS All Access. And so it made me think, well, Disney is planning on doing one, but they haven't really given us any real details in terms of possibility of a rollout for it, any kind of content. I mean, we know that Jon Favreau is working on a series for it, but beyond that, we don't really know much else. I saw earlier in the week that they want to be able to show the original trilogy on their service, but it's tied up in rights with other, I think, TBS and TNT, and they are wanting to buy back those rights, but I don't know that TNT and TBS are willing to sell them.
Yeah, I've heard about that too.
Yeah, so it made me think, well, when is this supposed to even debut? We've known about it for a while. So if like you're saying, for when the Fox deal goes through, are they waiting because they are dependent upon having that included into some of their stuff? Or is it just a matter of they don't have anything ready to go to be able to have on their channel yet, so they're just waiting till they get closer to being able to have something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm giving you my answer based on no real knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I mean, it's just because, like, right off the top of my head, you ask, it's kind of like, well, maybe then, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard because they don't have any kind of event that we know of on the schedule books for them to be able to announce something. Obviously, the closest event that they have that we know about is going to be what the next expo, the
D23.
No, not D23.
Star Wars Celebration.
Celebration, yeah. That's the only, because I don't know that there's a D23 scheduled for next year. And
though I think next year is the year it's due, because I think they also usually do that every other year, don't they? Just like Celebration, basically.
Yeah.
Which is funny that they do it the same year.
I know, right?
You would think they would alternate that. Yeah.
Yeah, you think.
And maybe that's why they haven't. Maybe they're like, you know what? We won't do D23 till 2020. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so there's no, unless they came up with some sort of event that they just outright, announce things. But
right.
Yeah, we don't know that that's right. in the planning stages or anything. So we're just kind of like left wondering when they're going to start announcing any of these things. It'll be nice once we start to know more about it, though, for sure.
So we're almost out of time, but Bobby, it sounded like you were going to change subjects earlier. Was there one last thing you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Yasha probably is excited about something that he normally watches. I believe we spoke about last time, and that's Better Call Saul. I think is supposed to be coming back soon.
God, yes, can't get here soon.
That's awesome.
No, and it's just because like it's really started to rev up like the last season that I watched, it was really starting to like kind of pick up speed, and it's just like, oh man, it's really starting to connect the worlds. David, I'm gonna need you to jump on board. You and Michelle broke my heart when you both told me that you did not watch Breaking Bad, because this is right up your alley and this would be an addiction of yours. So the worlds are just starting to really kind of connect, and it's just interesting to watch the development of these characters. Vince Gilligan is a genius when it comes to making these worlds collide and just the development of the characters, and that's what's so much fun to watch. It's a little slow. The season is much more slower than Breaking Bad, but man, to watch these characters develop, it's seamless. It's very, very well done.
Now, do you think are you in the camp where you believe that Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad?
No. Not by
okay, because there are some people who feel that way.
I haven't heard that, but I can see why they would think that. As far as the character development and seeing the turmoil that this guy's kind of going through, I can kind of get on board with that a little bit, just see, and understand where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, like when it comes to Breaking Bad, this is an extension of Breaking Bad, so I still feel like Breaking Bad is the better engine, mm-hmm. and it's just a very, very well placed and well developed show. Like Breaking Bad, like he thought of everything when it came to the continuity of the show and the characters and where they're going. It was flawless. And Better Call Saul is just it's full of turmoil. Like this guy has really gone through it, and it's really interesting to see kind of his spiral as well to the character that he became and we know from Breaking Bad. So it's interesting and it's fun, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops and where we're going to go from there. So I'm really looking forward and interested to seeing it. So I'm ready for it to come back, because they did take a really long break. So I'm ready to see more of the show.
And yeah, David, I was going to say real quick, because obviously since you haven't watched Breaking Bad, you're probably like, well, I don't even know who Saul is and why do we need to call him? but Saul is this character that was on Breaking Bad, and the way he is on Breaking Bad, he's this lawyer who's kind of like the scumbag, and he helps out the main character in a lot of different situations. And then by the end of the series of Breaking Bad, there's some things that go on with the character, but then they give him the spinoff, and in the spinoff, it's sort of a prequel to what happened with his character in Breaking Bad. So you're seeing him from the beginning stages of how he becomes who you first see him as in the series of Breaking Bad, and it's by the same guy who created the Breaking Bad series, so it has that continuity.
To put it simply, and let's put it this kind of mildly, is like Saul is the kind of lawyer that you would definitely want to have if you were breaking the law. Like if you were breaking the law, this is the type of guy that you would want to have your back and basically help you figure out how to get away with it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, Breaking Bad, you're not the first person to like already kind of convince me I need to watch the show. Like,
let me guess, Carlton has been on you about it?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Oh, really? Did Carlton watch?
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good question. It seems like it would be a show that is really right up his alley. It would be. So now that you mention that, he probably has, and it just for some reason hasn't come up. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask him that. But yeah, I mean, everything I've heard about it, by the time I really started to hear about it, when it was still even on the air, I was like, oh man, I should be watching that. But it was already like, I don't know how many, maybe a couple seasons in. And it was one of those things where you feel like, oh God, now I have to play catch up. And now it's, how many seasons was it? 5, 7? I don't know.
Better Call Breaking Bad with 5 seasons.
So I mean, that's not to say I couldn't do it. Like I think you pointed out to me, Bobby, they're not like network 20 episode seasons.
Right, exactly.
They're probably, 10 or 13 or 15, maybe?
I think between 13, 15, somewhere around that.
Yeah. And then take into consideration that this was aired on television. So instead of like a full hour, you're probably getting about 40 minutes of television, maybe 37 minutes of television. And you watch that on Netflix, you'll fly through it. And once you get started, trust me, you're gonna really just not want to stop watching.
Yeah, I will have to do this at some point. But as we all know, I have a growing list of television that
this is true.
I do.
Gotta stop watching that old stuff. Gotta start watching new stuff.
I do.
See how we swung that all the way back around from the beginning of the show and tied it to a little bow at the end?
Oh, look at that. I was going to say, I think I just need to fly out to California more often, because then I could just watch things on the plane like I did when I went to San Diego.
It's true.
Like, I knocked out 4 episodes of Defenders on the way to Comic-Con.
That's true.
Good for you.
But that's when I can watch TV. I just need to fly more. I need a job that just pays me to fly around all the time.
There you go.
Then I'll be all set.
And so basically they'll be paying you to watch Netflix while getting some sort of work done.
Basically, yes. I will not tell them this, but yes.
Yeah.
Not that they would really care, but
Well, yeah. What else can you do?
I'm traveling. What do they want me to do? Work on my work computer? Please, come on.
So silly. Very silly.
That is just crazy. With that, guys, it is time to wrap things up. Thanks for joining me this week on the show.
No problem.
Hell yeah.
Again, for everyone listening, please reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for Flicker Effect, or at Twitter at Flicker_effect. We would love to hear from you. Give us your questions and comments. You can also email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. So, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, when you say we'd love to hear back from you, I definitely do, because, I love talking to you and Yasha and Michelle about this. But I'd be interested in conversing with some of the people that listen and hear what their thoughts are, or if they agree with us or differ from us, and be able to have that conversation. We don't even have any trolls, so I mean, I would be interested to see the trolls. So, give us some feedback. Let us know what's up.
I want to bitch about the people commenting on my tweets. Come on, like, I want to get to that level.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I have to go, oh God, I can't read the comments. Yeah. It'll piss me off.
Too many trolls.
Right now I'm at the level of, oh, I got a comment. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote me back. Anyway, with that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
And I'm Yasha Wilson.
Thanks for listening.